Hello everyone and welcome to Superman Homepage Live, the live broadcast brought to you by supermanhomepage.com. In this, our March 28th, 2022 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including what's going on with the Academy Awards. We're going to be talking about some of the stuff happening with comic books. We're going to be doing our monthly segments, our fan favorite segment, comic books, and so much more. Sadly, Michael Bailey has had a family emergency tonight, so he's been unable to join me. And it looks like Craig Beamer, who is joining me, as frozen. So I'm just going to quickly get Craig back on. But while we sort out that technical issue, wanted to let you know how you can get involved in tonight's show. We won't be taking live calls, but we will be listening to your comments and questions, and you can get involved with the comments and questions right there live on YouTube. All you have to do is participate in the comments. We've already got Michael, John, Mark, and others tuning in for our live show tonight. So post your comments, ask questions. Craig and I will keep an eye on that to revert to your questions and comments as the show goes on. And we will also, if you'd like your question or comment featured live on the screen during the show, that is called a super chat. And to have that work for you, all you have to do is click on the little dollar symbol there on YouTube. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on the dollar amount you're willing to donate, and we will feature your comment or question as the show goes along on the screen live. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. We appreciate your support. We don't have a major sponsor at the moment, but we are in the process of looking for a new one, or maybe renegotiating with Blaze Candle Co. So if you'd like your business or something that you're doing, a project featured on our show, then feel free to contact me at info@supermanhomepage.com. Hey Craig, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Steve?
Yeah, doing well. Had a few technical issues there, but we've got you back on. Camera's working. Thank you for jumping in once again on behalf of Michael, who's got a family emergency tonight, so I was unable to do the show, but it's great to have you back.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. I had a blast last time. Looking forward to being here again. Excellent.
Yeah, we had some great comments last time about your involvement, so I was happy to have you back, and short notice, but you're a trooper. You came on board. Kids asleep? Everybody all settled at home?
Just settling now.
Very good. Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to get into what's been a pretty busy week in the world of Superman. There's been lots going on. I am being a little bit cheeky with my background tonight in light of the Academy Awards having taken place. Don't know if you can see that, but yes. Wow, wasn't that an eye-opener?
Yeah, that was wild. I just couldn't believe it. I don't watch the Academy Awards, so I was browsing my news feed and to see it play out. At first, my first response was, "This has got to be a staged thing, right?"
Yeah, that's what I thought initially. But then when you see it,
wow.
Yeah, no, it was brutal, and I mean, we don't want to get too much into it. Yeah, the joke fell a little bit flat, and it wasn't in the greatest taste. Yeah, you did. I mean, we teach our kids, if someone talks, says something to you that's not nice, we don't hit. Mm-hmm. So it was, and then he went on to get receive his Academy Award for Best Actor, and went on to talk about love and protection, and was like, dude, are you the same person?
What is going on here? Yeah. There's some definite hard feelings that must have predated that incident between the two gentlemen.
It was weird because, again, I don't want to get too much into it, but he was laughing along with it until he looked across, I think, at his wife's reaction, and she was not impressed, and then it was like, I've got to defend my wife's honor, but that was above and beyond. And there is some Superman connections here. Like, we're not just talking off the cuff because it's a topical thing. Chris Rock at one stage was rumored to be playing Jimmy Olsen in a J.J. Abrams version of Superman, if I'm not correct, not mixing up my actors. And Will Smith has obviously been in the DC universe as Deadshot, is it? In the Suicide Squad, and also obviously was in that movie. What's that one where he's the last man on Earth? And
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend, and there's a Batman Superman logo up on the billboard in the background there. So yeah, it all comes back to Superman.
That's right. Oh man, I remember seeing that logo and how excited it made me. What, back in 2008?
if not longer, yeah, it was crazy. So it all comes back to Superman, as I said, and as Michael's very fond of saying. But the Academy Awards also featured an interesting, I think they call them honorary or honorific categories of awards. And Zack Snyder's Justice League won the Oscars cheer moment, celebrating a scene from a beloved movie as voted on by Twitter users. It for the scene of the Flash entering the Speed Force in Zack Snyder's Justice League, you know, that moment where he reverses time and goes through the Speed Force to, you know, correct the issue where everybody just exploded and everybody died, but at the penultimate moment. But it surprised me because, I mean, you know, we know that there are rabid fans out there for Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it beat out moments like the Spider-Man team-up in Spider-Man No Way Home, which is very recent, the Matrix Neo dodging bullets, which is a very iconic moment, Jennifer Hudson singing And I Am Telling You in Dreamgirls, and the Avengers Assemble moment in Avengers Endgame, another massive movie. Yet Zack Snyder's Justice League, that moment of the Flash entering the Speed Force, somehow won this category.
Yeah, this has got to feel like, I don't know, a bit of a wake-up call for WB to see that there still is a rabid fan base out there, and to reevaluate maybe what their cinematic universe looks like going forward. I know we have the Flashpoint movie coming out.
That's right, yeah.
There's definitely not a lot of movies coming out that look to continue that storyline. Personally, I thought the moment was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have rated it above the Avengers Assemble moment or the Spider-Man team up, but it was a really cool scene. But
I think what it goes, it's a popularity contest of Twitter. So, and you know, the whole Restore the Snyderverse and, you know, Zack Snyder's Justice League, you know, Snyder Cut, you know, Twitter thing went off, and so it's kind of not surprising, but I think if you went out there into the general public and asked them, I don't think it would even rate in the top 4.
You're probably right. But Steve, are you saying that Twitter doesn't reflect real life? Are we allowed to say that?
I don't know. Is anyone coming to get me? No. Well, good luck to them. And you know, it's kind of like you know, those fans are, as I said, very, very passionate, and it's kind of vindicates what they've been trying to achieve for so many years. So you know, well done. Yeah,
and like you said, it makes sense because of how well organized the fan base for those movies are, and kind of the experience they had in rallying to get the Snyder Cut released in the first place.
Exactly. That's you know, that's a phenomenal just as it is.
Yeah.
So let's relive that moment just briefly when the Flash does enter the Speed Force. See if I can grab that quickly and see if you remember it, because probably a lot of fans are going, I don't even remember what this part of the movie was about. But here it is.
It's too late. Oh no. He's here.
Go faster than the speed of light, far beyond the speed of light. You gotta break the rule, Barry, and you gotta do it now.
So there you have it. That's just part of the scene of the Flash entering the Speed Force at that moment in Zack Snyder's Justice League, winning that honorific Academy Award. So well done. On some sad news, this week we learnt of the passing of actor Howard Pepper Martin, who fans will recognise instantly as the gentleman, I don't know if you call him gentleman, but the man in Don's Diner called Rocky, who was the bully in Superman 2, knocked Clark to the ground, made him bleed when he had no powers, and then when Superman regained his powers at the end of the movie, in a bit of a harsh moment, comes back and teaches Rocky a bit of a lesson. It's funny, I've never seen garbage eat garbage before, I remember was the line from that film. Sadly, Howard Pepper Martin passed away aged 85 and was surrounded by his family and friends when he passed after a long battle with cancer on March 18th. Sad news, and our condolences to his family and friends.
Yeah, that's very sad news to hear. I remember watching that scene and just loving the quirky silliness of the whole premise there. But he definitely did a good job as being that bully Rocky.
Yeah, I believe he was a wrestler, a professional wrestler in his early years. So he had that menacing look about him. But here is that scene from Superman 2.
All right. Hi, Ron. Yeah? Give me another plate of this garbage.
Garbage? That's my number one special, Rocky.
All right, eh? There's more coffee, too, huh?
See, that's funny. I've never seen garbage eat garbage before. Excuse me, sir. I think you're sitting in my favorite seat.
Well, come and get it for us.
Now, cool it, Rocky. Take it easy, will you? I just had this joint fixed. It cost me a fortune.
Oh, God!
This order's to go. I'm terribly sorry about all the damage, sir. Well, I've been working out.
It's a great scene. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's so funny. And a little bit mean-spirited, but when you're a little kid watching that in 1981, as I was, it was like, yeah, you get him.
Yeah, exactly. And just the whole maintaining his dorky Clark Kent persona while doing it really adds to the scene, I find.
It did indeed. All right, so, and still sticking with movie news, this one caused a bit of a stir. Nicolas Cage was interviewed by GQ recently, GQ magazine. He appeared on camera responding to fan questions from Reddit. And during this interview, he's asked by a fan about Superman Lives, the movie that he was cast as Superman back in 1997. It never got made, didn't happen. Nicolas Cage, as we know, is a big Superman fan. And he says the question. Well, actually, let's let Nicolas Cage do the talking. Here is. I'm just going to try to forward to the scene of where he asks about this movie. 1 second.
I am not on any social media.
World?
There might still be a chance. So I don't age. Why can't they just make? In 1997, Tim Burton wanted to make a Superman movie starring Nicolas Cage. Why can't they just make this now? Would it matter how much time I appeared as the character? There might still be a chance. Posted. Wikipedia.
There might still be a chance. It's not hard to see that he's talking very much tongue firmly planted in his cheek there. But, geez, everyone went nuts and started going off about, yeah, no, can't, don't make it, no way, don't be silly, God almighty, please, no. And people posting GIFs and short videos with no, and all these kinds of things. I mean, anything is possible. We've got, as you mentioned, the Flashpoint movie coming up, where we're going to see an older Batman played by Mr. Mum himself. We've got, Ben Affleck supposedly reappearing. Different versions of the Flash. Different versions of Supergirl. So it's, with the multiverse as an idea out there, anything is possible. But I don't think he's being serious here. I mean, somebody's probably caught onto that and went, really? Let's get it. Let's get him. Let's do it.
Yeah, I would imagine this is just actor having fun with the comments that he's getting. Though I think this is ripe for a multiverse cameo of him maybe voicing a Superman character or something.
Yeah, well, we do know that he has voiced the role of Superman in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies animated film. So he finally got to play the Man of Steel. But this would be an interesting one if he actually donned that, that costume that they'd made for him. And there were multiple different types of costumes created for that never-made film. Can you imagine? Like, that would be hilarious.
I read about these canceled Superman projects in the 90s and early 2000s, and I just wonder, what were they thinking? Like, so many of these just half-baked ideas of Superman could do this, Superman could do that. And...
yeah, Lex Luthor's an alien, and we'll have him fighting polar bears, and
right. You think, what's going on? Why can't you just figure out a normal Superman movie?
And we're still asking that question all these years later. Question in the comment, Michael F. Ballick asking, Steve, do you know if Cavill will be in the Flash movie? I actually watched a lot of videos today and seen a lot of posts about this, and it's all rumor and speculation. There is nothing firm saying that Cavill is reprising his role as Superman in any cameo, whether it be in the Flash or the upcoming Shazam movie. It would be great, it would be nice, but there's nothing fixed or firm about this happening. It's all rumor and speculation and unnamed sources.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like everything's going to be up in the air until this merger is complete with Discovery.
Right, yes.
And so we're not going to find anything concrete probably till the cameos actually happened, if they were to happen.
Yeah,
but certainly not before that merger is complete.
Sure, and if they're never going to announce it beforehand, it will be one of those surprise things, like the Spider-Man team up in the most recent Spider-Man movie, or Luke Skywalker's appearance at the end of a Mandalorian episode, or whatever it might be. It's going to be something that they hold very close to their chest. So yeah, I wouldn't. Don't necessarily believe anybody you hear out there who is confirming it as a done deal. It's all rumor and speculation at this point in time, and there are people out there making a huge amount of views on videos proclaiming that they've know about this, and are naming unnamed sources as having the authority on whether Cavill is coming back as Superman. It's kind of annoying. Seeing, here we are, we're trying to be respectful and, try to be truthful, and there are people just out there just going nuts with their clickbait videos, trying to get eyes on their videos because they're claiming that they know that Cavill is coming back in this movie.
Well, and it's really too bad that the powers that be can't see that there's this passionate fan base that just wants to see a well-made Superman movie, whether it's Cavill or a new actor. They just want to see a well-made Superman movie that they can look at the character and recognize that that's their Superman that they're reading about, that they're watching on TV.
Exactly, there is, and it's annoying also to see all these people out there going, Superman is so unrelatable, Superman is boring. I mean, they're just in there to stir the pot, trying to get our temperature rising, and it's just like, nah, not buying into it. You know, he hasn't lasted for 80 plus years because he's boring.
Exactly. I've always thought that a farm boy who wants to do good is a lot more relatable than a billionaire with a revenge vendetta, right?
I'm with you 100%. And I've said this a million times, maybe not a million, but close to, that I don't necessarily want to relate to Superman. I want to be inspired by him.
That's so true.
So, all right, well, that's the movie side of things. Now we turn our attention to the television side of things. We're talking about Superman being popular. Third season of Superman and Lois has been green-lit. It's been renewed for a third season. The CW moving ahead, regardless of the fact that they're selling off the CW, the show has been renewed for a third season, which is phenomenal. Cannot wait to see where they go with a third season of Superman and Lois. Can't wait to see where they go with the final episodes of the second season, but really impressed with the fact that this show has been renewed for a third season already.
Yeah, this is just such good news for us Superman fans and fans that want to see this Superman family continue. It's a great example of the character and a great way to showcase some of those stories and character arcs. It's fantastic news.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we'll turn our attention to the most recent episode of Superman and Lois, and I know you're not caught up on the show, but Michael did review it kind of late for us this past week. Things got away from him, but he did give it a 5 out of 5, saying every story has a theme. That underlying idea that writers explore through the course of their tales is an important component to good storytelling. And this was a pretty good episode, and already the questions are flying thick and fast in our comments. John Patrick Van Pelt, as he normally does, has quite a few questions to ask about this episode. He says, if Principal Balcom of Smallville High allowed Jonathan to continue to do his classes online, how is he supposed to do classes and work at Britton Dunn's as a punishment? Well, I mean, he's lucky that he was able to, while he's been kicked out of school, he's able to still keep up with his classes and learn online, which in this day and age of schooling I think is important. I don't think you punish kids by kicking them out of school and making them fall behind in their education. That's detrimental to their future. So making him do his studies online is but not being around his friends is an important punishment tool. And then Lois making him work and get a job and realizing the value of hard work and of having responsibilities, I think is another important lesson that is good parenting as well.
And there's, not to get too much into education system, but there's a lot of different ways you could do online schooling, whether it's online lectures or whether he just gets the assignments and has to do them later. But sorry, as a teacher talking now, I'll stop. I'll get back to Superman.
No, you're right there. John asks also, do you guys think Jonathan's girlfriend Candace knows more about the money and the XK inhalers than we think? Well, I don't think there's much more behind other than the fact that she said that she's selling these inhalers to make extra money because her dad is struggling in his capacity as her primary caretaker, and so it's that excuse of, we need the money, I've got to do whatever I can to try to help my family. And so I don't think there's any deeper than that she's almost a drug dealer to try to make extra money for her family. So it kind of redeems her character in a little bit, but two wrongs don't make a right kind of thing is my take on that. John also says, how come Allie Elston just won't tell Sam Lane and the others the truth? And if Lucy really is dead, why is the actress playing her still getting on-screen credit? Well, as we saw at the end of the episode, Lucy isn't dead. She tricked her father into believing that she had come good and that everything was, that she had gone away from Allie and was, seen the light and what have you. But it was all a ploy. She was two-faced, if you like, and well, that was pretty dark from Lucy Lane to do that. Looks like I've lost Craig again, but I'll get him back on as soon as I can. And Ali doesn't want to tell everybody about exactly what's happening because, she'll know that Sam Lane will try to stop her. I mean, she's not a good person. She's doing things, to try to become ruler of the world, if you like, take over. So yeah, not a nice person at all. All right, trying to get Craig back on here. Let me get... Here we go, getting him back on. All right, there he is. He's back on. Let's see. So who is this Mickey guy, and does he have something with the XK? He was the guy that Candace owed money to, and so that was why he was after her. And he saw Jordan come to her rescue. How do you guys feel about Jordan coming to the rescue of Jonathan after using super hearing? Do you think Clark and Lois will change their minds about the boy's punishment? No, not at all. The fact that they didn't tell the truth to their parents is why they're being punished. It's a trust thing, and so Superman and Clark and Lois, whether Jordan saved his brother or not, that's a byproduct of the lying. So the fact that he had to do that is because of the problems that Jonathan and Candace are having with the XK inhalers. So it doesn't redeem them at all, and the punishment still stands. Lois is not going to be happy with Lucy once she finds out what has happened. So definitely a major issue to happen there in the upcoming episode. Since the show has been renewed for a third season, what do you guys think the chances of Melissa Benoist returning as Supergirl is? Our super chat question there from John Patrick Van Pelt. Thank you for that, John. I don't see necessarily Melissa Benoist returning to play Kara. I mean, it's always a possibility. Superman and Lois hasn't necessarily been shown to be in the same timeline as these other shows. Yes, we've seen John Diggle appear, and there has been some reference to the rest of the universe. But if it does happen, it'll be nice, but I don't see it as a priority for them. What do you think? Do you think Melissa would come back?
Maybe for a one-off cameo, but I think one of the strengths of this show is that it's not super tied to the other ones. No pun intended, but it's free to tell its own stories at its own pace and not have to worry about what was going on in the broader shows. But having her drop in for a cameo or an appearance in an episode, I think there's always a possibility of that.
And he also asks about John Cryer. What are the chances of him coming in as Lex Luthor in season 3? Probably better than Melissa Benoist appearing as Supergirl. I think that would be an awesome appearance because it could, John Cryer as Lex was great in Supergirl, and seeing him come in to this in a more serious capacity because he does have that range in his acting, I think it would be an awesome idea. So I would like to see John Cryer come back as Lex Luthor in Superman and Lois.
And eventually that's a character that has to come into a Superman show. So whether they bring him back or recast it, I mean, they got to have Lex Luthor eventually, right?
Yes, you'd think so.
He's too big a character.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
So also he's asking, is Superman and Lois taking a break after this week's episode? I don't know. I haven't seen a schedule for future episodes at this point. They're usually giving us the synopsis or some photo galleries for upcoming episodes. So yeah, I'll get back to you on that one, John. I'm not sure exactly what's happening next week on that. So it probably is taking a break next week after this week's new episode, but I don't know why or what the reason is, but I will put up the schedule when we have those details. Mind the Gap saying he thinks Melissa is done, but if she wants to come back out, they can always work something out. She does have a new show in the works, so that could be a hurdle for them to overcome. And I mean, it's not like Superman in that she keeps up a fitness regime, like with the muscles and that, because Supergirl isn't a muscly character. But she would obviously need to stay trim and what have you, which I think she probably does just in general, but it wouldn't be a difficult role to kind of jump back into. You wouldn't have to do a lot of prep. So that's the questions. And that was the episode of Superman and Lois. We do look forward to the new episode airing tomorrow night in the US. It is the 9th episode of season 2. It is called 30 Days and 30 Nights. And here is the promo for that particular episode for Superman and Lois. Check it out.
No, Clark? He's still on assignment in Metropolis.
Dad's never been gone this long.
Clark's coming back, like he always does.
People need my help. There's nothing you can do to stop me.
I have 2 teenagers who think they're grown men.
Dad's gone, and no one knows if he's coming back.
So where is Superman is the title there. He obviously has disappeared. I'm guessing he's gone into the inverse world, the inverse universe, that the bizarro world, if you like. So we'll have to wait and see if that is actually what happens. And it kind of looked there like Jordan was maybe taking off, like his foot rising off the ground, kind of indicating maybe he's getting flight added to his powers. He does seem to be mastering his abilities a bit more. So that's the 9th episode of season 2 of Superman and Lois, airing Tuesday, March 29th. All right, we're going to take a quick break, kind of come back after this commercial break to talk about DC Universe Infinite going global, which I think is probably something that you'd be interested in because it's live now in Canada, Craig, and it's coming to Australia today here in the 29th of March, being we're a little bit ahead of you guys up there in the north of the world. And so big news. We're going to come back, talk about that. We're going to do our fan favorite segment. We're going to do our monthly super secret soundbite and big question segments. So it's all to come right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program, just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/Superman Homepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Insiders say Lex Luthor to cut nation's power. Superman overpowers Lex Luthor. Alienware powers the nation.
Alienware, embrace the power.
And we're back on Superman Homepage Live. Alright, as I mentioned, DC Universe Infinite is going global. They've announced this just earlier today. It's live now in Canada, live now in Australia and New Zealand. It will go into the UK on April 28th, and then fans in Brazil and Mexico will be able to get it this summer. So exciting news if you're into the whole digital world of DC Universe with comic books. There's like over 25,000 comic books and original graphic novels, unlimited offline reading, so much that you can get involved with the community side of things. It's an exciting opportunity if that's something that you want to get into.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I've actually been looking forward to this for a long time, and I wasn't aware that the announcement was made today. This is really exciting news for me. There's some gaps in my Superman reading that I hope to remedy now, especially one of the topics we're going to be talking about later, the blue Superman, the electric Superman.
Yes.
I haven't read anything about him, so
wow.
Hopefully I can find some stuff on DC Universe Infinite, because this is awesome news for me to get that chance to read.
So it's for an annual subscription to DC Universe Infinite. Yeah, for the first 30 days of each country's launch, they're available to subscribe for $60 Canadian for the whole year, $65 Australian, $65 New Zealand, £37 British for our UK fans. So yeah, you get annual subscription to thousands and thousands of comic books, and there's just so much content on there for you to enjoy. The new comics are 6 months behind, so if you're trying to read comics on the weekly basis, this is probably not where you want to go. But if you are looking, as Craig just said, to fill in some of your background reading on the character, and Superman has 80 years background of comic books to go through, then this might be something you'll be interested in subscribing to.
Steve, earlier maybe a few years ago, they used to have some of the limited DC animated universe on this app. Do you know if they still do? Or is it strictly comics at this point?
Let's see, it says it's strictly comics at this point. I think, of course, all those things are on HBO Max. Okay. So they kind of split that up. It became DC Universe Infinite was for the comic book side of things, and HBO Max was for all the animated movies, television shows, that side of things.
Okay. Still fantastic value for those that like to read comics digitally.
For sure. All right, so that's DC Universe Infinite going global. Some sad news for Smallville fans. The Tom Welling, Michael Rosenbaum, and Kristen Krug have cancelled their appearance for Fan Expo Philadelphia. That was supposed to take place in April. Those three celebrities will no longer be appearing at that convention. I don't know a reason for their pulling out, but I can tell you that Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, praise be his name, will be there on all 3 days. So still very much worthwhile heading to Fan Expo Philadelphia. All right, let's get into our fan favorite segment of our show. Here is the intro. All right, Craig, what was our fan favorite question from last week?
All right, last week's question was, who is your favorite Superman comic book artist? What a great question. And Alexandre from France wrote, it was hard to make the distinction between a great artist and a Superman artist because some of them are amazing, while I would prefer someone else as a Superman artist. I'll go with Kurt Swan. The way Superman moves, acts, to me, are a perfect match. I find the same humble aspect in his portrayal of Superman as someone who doesn't show off his gigantic power. It reminds me of Christopher Reeve. Special mentions to Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and Dan Jurgens.
Yes, Kurt Swan, a very popular choice. Next up, we had Kirby Lindell wrote in saying, no questions in my mind, it's Kurt Swan. He defines Superman during the height of his popularity, made him handsome and noble. I don't think he ever drew a poor rendition, and he probably drew more Superman than any other artist. Not only was Superman handsome and heroic, his women were beautiful, and his attention to detail was masterful. Yeah, it's hard to go past Kurt Swan, a popular choice.
John P. Van Pelt wrote, my favorite Superman artists are Dan Jurgens, John Byrne, and the last two artists that I would like to mention is our co-founders, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, in which I have enjoyed all the work they have done over the years, especially seeing their work created in Superman the movie, 1978, Superman the animated series, and Superman and Lois currently on the CW. What is your guys' favorite Superman artist that you enjoy watching on TV, movie, or reading? Well, that's a question from him to us.
Yes, it is. I'm very much a fan of Dan Jurgens as well. I like Dan and Kurt Swan, but my favourite is the man we mentioned just a little bit earlier, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. When I see Superman in my mind, and it's all over the artwork that you see on so many of the things that publicity for Superman. His rendition of Superman comes to mind.
He's fantastic. I also love the Dan Jurgens era, and my appreciation for him as an artist might also be linked to just the stories that he was telling at the time.
Yeah.
I really like John Byrne's Superman and his revamp in that era. I thought that he made a really clean, pretty Superman. Pretty is not the word I want to say, but like a I guess handsome Superman would be what I'm going for. And then there's some modern artists that I also appreciate reading. Jim Lee when he draws Superman, I appreciate his work as well. But definitely those other ones that I mentioned beforehand. And I do actually really enjoy the early Golden Age Superman stories and the art in that. It's very different and it takes a bit to get used to.
Sure.
But it is very engaging and very fluid, and there's a lot of action and
motion.
And I like that.
Yeah. So JP Rocha wrote in saying my favourite artist is Dan Jurgens. Great artist, great writer. He just gets the character, which I think echoes what you were just saying.
And Ryan Ignatius Pratt wrote, my favorite Superman artist of all time would be the one and only Dan Jurgens. As you said, popular choice.
Yeah.
I considered him to be the definitive Superman artist of the post-crisis period, the way many consider Kurt Swan to be the definitive Superman artist of the pre-crisis era. I am also a fan of Dan's stories, appreciating his skills as a writer alongside his great talent as an artist. And that's so true. Those two artists really are just the ones you think of when you think of their specific eras. Like that early 90s, that's Dan Jurgens Superman, and then the pre-crisis, that's Kurt Swan, and they were able to represent and articulate that character so well through their images, and just fantastic.
Yeah, they defined the character for that period of time. All right, next up was Michael F. Ballack. He said, got to say my favourite Superman artist, hands down, the guy I grew up with, Kurt Swan. So it was between Dan Jurgens and Kurt Swan. Also in the comments, we've got some special mentions to Alex Ross, Jerry Ordway, Doug Mankey. So some great names there. And obviously Joe Shuster, as you mentioned, being the guy who created the design of Superman in those Golden Age books, has got to get a definite mention. So thank you to everyone for your contributions to the fan favourite question this week. That was excellent to go through and see some of that great artwork. What is our new question for this week, Craig?
Excellent. Our new fan favorite question is, what is your favorite Superman car accessory?
Yeah, that's an
interesting question.
I hope
some people have capes on their cars, because that
I have seen one. I have seen one around here in Sydney somewhere. It could be car seat covers. It could be floor mats. Steering wheel covers. Bobblehead things that you put on your dashboard. Aerial. I saw one back in the early 90s. This like little aerial ornament for your radio aerial. They don't have aerials too much these days, cars, because now they're integrated into the design of the car. But it used to be this little kind of flying Superman that would be on the, the pull-up aerial that you would have. I'm dating myself a little bit here, but so let us know. Get involved in the fan favourite segment of our show. Email address scrolling across your bottom of your screen, info@supermanhomepage.com, and let us know what your favourite Superman car accessory is. Send us photos, get involved. We will read those out when we return to this segment next week. Alrighty, let's get into the big question segment of our show.
All right.
Here's the intro.
Let's start with the big question.
All right, Craig, what was our big question from last month?
Last month's big question was, do you prefer Jonathan and Martha Kent remain alive during Clark's adult life? Good question.
Yes, and who was our first respondent?
Stephen Marshall wrote, as a fan who grew up on John Byrne's Superman, I prefer the Kents alive. It's my hope that the next eventual big screen reboot for the Man of Steel will keep the Kents alive, as I feel it would be a refreshing change. I'm kind of tired of seeing Pa Kent die. Hasn't the man suffered enough?
Yeah, well, at least he didn't die of a heart attack this time. It was a tornado that got him in Man of Steel, but nevertheless, not a pretty way to die. But thank you, Stephen, for that response. Ryan Ignatius Pratt wrote in, he said, admittedly, I am biased being a fan of Lois and Clark and having been introduced to the comics during the post-crisis era, but I prefer to have the Kents alive, feeling that they help to further ground and strengthen Clark's humanity. He has already lost his his home planet and people. He doesn't need the added anguish of having also lost his parents. He's not Batman. Touché. However, moreover, I feel having the Kents alive has allowed for some memorable moments during the post-crisis comics, as well as on Lois and Clark. Couldn't agree more.
Exactly. Well, I think it's in one of Jeff Johns' runs on Superman where he has Superman and Clark and Pa Kent just sitting and drinking a pop together, and it's such a great scene that just epitomizes who Superman is. Just this boy from the farm who just loves being with his family.
Yeah, and I think it definitely adds an element of him being able to go back home and just ground himself back in the reality of simple life, and have that time off to be with his parents. I think it's a great concept.
Mm-hmm. So John Patrick Van Pelt wrote, I really enjoy seeing Jonathan and Martha Kent remain alive, especially when I used to watch Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman on ABC, and Superman the Animated Series. Oh, Jonathan and Martha Kent were fantastic in the cartoon.
Yes.
During the first 5 years of Smallville on the WB, I really enjoy the interactions between Clark Kent and his parents to help him get through the Superman trials in the Superman
trials. I think it means, yeah.
Trials in helping Clark become the Man of Steel. One thing I wish they did for Jonathan and Martha Kent on the current TV series Superman and Lois is to have them remain alive. So one, Clark can talk to his parents, especially when something is bothering him with his powers. Second, I think Jonathan and Martha Kent would have been really happy seeing their grandsons Jonathan and Jordan alive. And one problem I know Jonathan and Martha Kent would have been great is telling Clark and Lois how to deal with the high school teenagers and the problems they sometimes have during a hard time in life, or frustrated about something that they are going through in life as a second opinion.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see Martha and Jonathan alive for this new TV series, but it kind of would then have been, why is Clark coming back to live in Smallville? The whole reason he came back was because Martha had left him the farm and he wanted to get a simpler life and touch base with his roots. So it kind of, it would have been nice, but the whole premise would have been different.
Yeah, I guess you could have done that they were old and sick and needed his help supporting them on the farm. That's true. Or taking care of them. But yeah, I love the idea of having them alive. I think as one of the commenters pointed out, he doesn't need dead parents. He's not Batman, and he's not helping people because his parents died. He's helping them because his parents raised him to be a good person. Exactly.
That's 100% right. So thank you for those responses. Excellent big question response. Appreciate those guys for getting involved. What is our new big question for next month, Craig?
Oh, this one is sure to draw a big reaction. Do you want Henry Cavill back as Superman?
Yeah, get involved. Let us know why and how and why not. Just get involved in the big question segment of our show. All you have to do is head to supermanhomepage.com. Under the contact menu, you'll find the big question feedback form, and we will return to these to read out your responses when we get back to this segment at the end of April. So get involved in the big question segment. All right, let's move on to the super secret soundbite.
Only one thing alive with less than 4 legs can hear this frequency, Superman, and that's you.
All right, the super secret soundbite from last month was this sound.
Am I somehow supposed to crack this in half?
Nope. Just punch it.
So there it was for those people who wasn't too difficult, and we had a few people guess it right. Who were they? Firstly, the sound came from the episode Broken Trust of Superman and Lois, episode 6 of season 1, and that was where Jordan, having revealed that he has powers, is kind of challenged by Clark to punch the big log there in the barn and just punch the crap out of it if you can. And we had a few people guess where it came from.
Yeah, they were Stephen Marshall, John Patrick Van Pelt, Patrick O'Neill, and Lynn S.M.
Yeah,
good job, everybody.
Well done to those 4 people for guessing where in the world of Superman that came from. Let's see if those people and more can guess where in the world of Superman this new sound comes from.
Lana, this is crazy.
Point. If life doesn't make you crazy, then why bother living it? I know that's how I want it.
So there you have it. There is the sound from our super secret soundbite. If you think you know where in the world of Superman that sound came from, use the super secret soundbite entry form found at the Superman homepage. Under the contact menu, you'll find the feedback form. Get involved, send in your response, and we'll read out the names of each person who guesses it right when we return to this segment at the end of April as well. It's interesting. I think it was a bit of a long one. I think some people will get that one.
Yeah, good luck, everybody. That's a bit of a tricky one, but hopefully you got an ear for the Superman content in it.
Indeed. All right, so that is the monthly segment. We've done the weekly segment. Let's get into this week in history, which is what Michael usually does. I will try my best to cover the content that Michael does for us, and let me see if I can do 2 things at once here by getting up all my graphics. Here we go. Back in 1952, actually I should play this first.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bars of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
Alright, so as I mentioned, back in 1952 at the end of March, we had World's Finest number 58, which featured a Scoop Smith boy reporter, as well as a Green Arrow, a Wyoming kid, a Tom Sparks boy inventor story, and a Batman story, The Murder of Bruce Wayne. So interesting World's Finest there. We also, back in 1952, had this April 2nd issue of Superboy number 20, in which we had the story The Ghost That Haunted Smallville. There was also another Superboy story, the Superboy Safety Code, and another The Dragon Teeth Soldiers. So interesting ghost there on the cover. Also back in 1962 this week, we had Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane number 33, and the 3 stories involved in this one. Another ghost on the cover. How do you like that one? We had The Phantom Lois Lane. We also had The Candid Camera Kid and Lois Lane Slave Girl as an extra. Wow. Also back in 1962, we had Action Comics 288 with the Man Who Exposed Superman and The Man Who Made Supergirl Cry. Okay, I want to read that one now.
Man, I hope these are on DC Universe Infinite, because I need to get into some of these Silver Age comics.
Wow, big time. Back in 1962, we also had Adventure Comics number 296. The Superboy story was Benjamin Franklin's Super Reporter. And then we had a Bizarro story, The Case of the Super Loony Lawyer. A bit of alliteration there. So, Ben Franklin appearing on the cover of a Superboy comic. Then up another decade, 1972, March 28th, 1972, we had Superboy 186, The Mutiny of the Damned. And there was a Dial H for Hero story and another Superboy story, Superboy's Strangest Secret. So that was back in 1972. Also in 1972, we had Action Comics 412, The Secret of the First Metropolis. This looks like a interesting one there. And The Menace of the Sky Scorchers. And there's also a backup Eclipso story. Then in 1972 as well, this week, we had Adventure Comics 419. And the Supergirl story was The Thief Who Loved Supergirl. There you go. Always a bit of a love interest.
Romance.
Yeah, a bit of romance.
Always welcome in Supergirl.
Then up to 1992, kind of the era of our time reading the comics. Adventures of Superman 490. We had Blood and Sand, and this was reprinted in the paperback trade paperback Panic in the Sky. So there you go. Check out that one, Blood and Sand, from Jerry Ordway. All right, then also moving up to another decade, 2002, we get into Action Comics 789, Man and Beast. And this story was written by Joe Kelly and features art by Duncan Rouleau and Marlo Alquiza as the artist. Crypto there on top of the Doghouse of Solitude. Then,
that sounds like it should be from the Silver Age, the Doghouse of
It
Solitude.
does indeed. 2002 also had Golden Perfect Part 3 in JLA number 64. Also had Superboy 98, Dinner with Friends. And then moving up to more recent, 2012, we had To Hell and Back, with Superman number 7. So that was This Week in History in the Comics. And then on This Week in the real world side of things, This Week in History, we saw Supergirl appear for the first time in the issue Action Comics 252. This Action Comics was released on March 31st, 1959. Also this week, Mark Mcclure celebrates his birthday on March 31st. He was born in 1957, played Jimmy Olsen, obviously. Also this week, Annette O'Toole was born on April 1st, 1954. She obviously played Lana in Superman 3 and then Martha Kent in Smallville. Also April 1st, we have the birthday of Sam Huntington, who played Jimmy Olsen in Superman Returns. Also this week, April 1st, we have the birthday of Cameron Cuff, who played Seg-El in the TV series Krypton. He was born in England in 1993. And Mixes Pitalik also celebrates a birthday. Traditionally, he's born on April 1st. You guess it, April Fool's Day. So the imp from the fifth dimension celebrating a birthday this week as well. So there you go. That was This Week in History.
Excellent. Well done with the pronunciation for his name as well, for
Mixes
the little
Pitalik.
imp.
Yes, no, always, he's one of my favorites. I never get that wrong. All right, just quickly, we're running out of time. We're not going to get to talk about this week being the 25th anniversary of Superman Blue. Back in 1997, they released the Electric Superman, which was a massive, big change for the Man of Steel, and a lot of fans were upset at the time. But Electric Superman was 25 years ago this week. But comic books coming out this week, and there are only a few of them, so let's quickly go through those. This is what you have to look forward to if you're a comic book reader. We have, I'll turn off Superman back in the background, back there. We have DC vs. Vampires number 6, which is available in this variant cover this week. And we also have War for Earth 3 number 2 out this week, and obviously features Ultraman and those characters there from Earth 3. And also the trade paperback collecting Challenge of the Super Sons is out this week as well. So that's everything that you can read this week. And that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's episode. So many other topics we could have gone through, but running out of time. Everything's up on the Superman homepage if you want to check out all the other stories that have happened this week. But I want to thank my co-host Craig Beamer for joining me this week, stepping in for Michael. We hope everything goes well for him. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you very much, Steve. That was a blast as always, and always a pleasure to be back here with you to chat Superman.
Thank you again. And thank you to our patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. We appreciate your support. And remember, if you tuned in late, missed part of the show, you can catch it all over again, the whole hour, at our website and on our YouTube channel. But Michael and I, hopefully, Michael will be back with me next week for our first episode of April on Monday, April 4th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. I do need to remind fans in the Southern Hemisphere, we are going out of daylight savings, so the hour for this show will come forward. So at the moment it was started at 1:30 for me. It will now be 12:30 in the afternoon for me. So just be aware of that change in time for people in the Southern Hemisphere coming out of daylight saving. It will still be 7:30 p.m. Pacific time in the US. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Craig. Thanks for watching Superman Homepage Live. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you next week.